Hello and good morning. Happy Saturday.
Good morning.
Thank you guys so much for joining. Last week we had some technical difficulties, so if for some reason you catch us lagging again today, let us know in advance so that we can troubleshoot it and do what we did last time. Only saying it because I see like the little Wi-Fi bar in my top left corner. I don't know if that's how it is for you, Shane.
Yeah, I see that too. One thing that I was just thinking about, first of all, good morning, everybody. It's so nice to be back. Kelly, actually, what we could do is if you go to settings on the bottom and you go to camera.
Yes.
You could actually adjust your camera resolution. Since we'll be presenting, we don't even need to be more than 480 or 360. So,
oh yeah, I'll do 360.
That'll help. Perfect.
That'll help a lot, probably. Nice. Amazing. So we've been doing what is the MagicBrief review, going over ads and just like discovering high converting ads and maybe some inspo that we can bring into the following week for our clients. So we're going to do that again today. Shane, do you want to explain MagicBrief to anyone that's listening that isn't familiar with it?
Yeah. If you know us, we love our MagicBrief, but essentially, it is a library of sorts where you can go and check out different types of content. Obviously, a lot of that for us is UGC, but helps you just kind of explore the world of advertising in kind of a fun and very easy way, and then obviously be able to organize that into what we call, or traditionally always called, swipe files in advertising, which is it's like you can imagine in like a Mad Men era, it was like a literal file of newspaper clippings, but today it's a digital library of videos and statics and all sorts of good stuff.
Yeah, and it's honestly been a great source of inspiration for me with my clients. You can gain access to our swipe file, which Shane and I have been collecting ads, and I know Shane's been using it at his agency with his clients. So I believe the link should be in the description of this YouTube live, correct?
Yep, it's down below.
Which is a good reminder that if you're watching this on Instagram or Twitter, if you go to our YouTube channel and hit subscribe and turn on post notifications, you'll get notified, as opposed to getting lucky on Instagram or Twitter if you get the notification. So that's just something, and we archive all of our lives actually in our live playlist. So if you're just now discovering this, there is a lot more that have been archived in this live playlist.
Oh yeah. And as always, when we do these, we're going to go through and show you examples, because the best way to learn is just to see what other people are doing. We don't have all the answers, and sometimes somebody's doing something crazy and new, and we're discovering for the first time on here. So if you ever have questions or ideas or thoughts, just come through on the chat and just ask us questions.
Yeah, that's a good reminder. If you have any questions, it could be unrelated to what we're going over right now, but if it has to do with UGC, creative strategy, direct response marketing, anything like that, feel free to send those questions through as we're going through these ads, just because this is your opportunity to ask any questions. It could even be a personal experience that you're having right now that, you know, with a client or whatever it is. We just want to make sure that you guys know that this is a place where you can ask those questions. And if you're thinking it, someone else is probably experiencing the same thing and wondering, you know, what the answer might be. But yeah, without further ado, let's get started.
Let's see. Why don't we do this one? Salt and Stone.
Okay, this is how you're gonna.
Oh, can you guys hear?
Oh, weird. Wait. Oh, there you go. Now it loaded.
It smell good.
I'm not getting any audio on my end.
Oh, I hear it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Do you want to figure that out first?
Hello. Oops. Yeah, it's weird because I can hear you, but I can't hear.
Yeah, and I can hear it.
How strange. Oh, for some reason the site's muted.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, classic. All right, here we go.
Okay, this is how you're gonna smell good all day long. So if you're like me and you kind of get stinky midday and your
Shane,
deodorant
it's lagging.
never lasts you.
Is it?
Yeah, it's just frozen. She like has like a twitchy looking eye.
Oh, okay. Well, why don't we jump back in here and do it together?
Okay, and then maybe do statics because I don't know. Bend broadband not doing its best.
Yeah, it's
Actually,
definitely something with our internet.
Click play now really quickly because the Wi-Fi went away.
Mine's
you all day. Then this is the deodorant for you. You guys know I've been using salt.
We'll figure it out.
okay. It is so strange. We've been doing this for ages now, and all of a sudden the internet. Boo. I don't know what we can even do about it. I'm not even sure what we can do about it other than the internet just being bad.
Yeah, we can talk to Ben Broadband.
Nothing like calling your internet provider and asking for why the internet sucks right now.
And also, it's like we live in Bend, so there's literally only one Wi-Fi in the entire town. So it's not like we can switch. I mean, most Wi-Fis, I feel like they kind of monopolize anyways, but it's a conversation for another day.
Gives me an excuse to have her right next to me.
Oh, that's nice. Yes, we'll figure it out. Now, for anyone that's watching, when we're playing this first video, can you please let us know if it lags and you're not able to watch it? Because if that's the case, we'll go back to reviewing statics, which... Or,
you know, what we might do is it would be fun to just kind of go through maybe something in UGC University.
Oh, we could do that.
You want to do that?
Yeah, we could go through the deck because we won't be able to play the videos.
But that's okay. Let's do...
That's why you should be a part of UGC University, so you can watch the videos.
You can watch these in your own time.
Ooh, good idea.
So if you don't know, all of our courses are done with this awesome tool called Pitchcom, which is a pretty amazing, easy to use version of PowerPoint. So
yeah,
highly recommend. And that's where all of our deck templates come from too, as well. So I'm wondering, why don't we?
Yeah, let's go through advertising in a nutshell, because I feel like a lot of people haven't probably seen it broken down the way that we broke it down.
So this is part of our free course, the free version of the course.
Yeah.
And you know, I think a big part of being in this industry is kind of understanding the role you play in the larger you know, scheme of things. So oh, do you need to type something?
I'm just saying hi to Kelly.
Oh, hi, Kelly. You killed those ads. Kelly worked with us on some ads, and she killed it. She and her daughter did awesome.
Amazing job, Kelly.
Yeah. So advertising in a nutshell is kind of the beginning of this course. And we both thought it was really important to just give you that high level overview to see like where are you in the scheme of things, and really how well placed you are among how this whole process works for all parties involved, your clients, clients, you know, all those things.
It's just easy to like not know this. Like it's you won't understand it until you see it. So I'm excited to go over this. And again, this is part of the free trial with UGC University. Obviously, if you go to ugc.pro, you can get the full version for $99 with the $20 off if you fill out the 2024 UGC census. All right. So advertising in a nutshell, the nuts and bolts. I love this infographic you made. So you go ahead and go over it.
You know, I feel like some people think of UGC as kind of you're just a service. Do you need more?
No, you're fine.
Oh, good. Some people think of it as like you're I'm just gonna move this over a little bit.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you.
So like I feel like when we talk to people, they always think being a UGC creator is just like a one-to-one service where you're like, brand comes to you, ask for content, you deliver, end of loop.
B2C,
right?
B2C.
They
think it's
right. Like you have a shop and people are coming, clients are coming in to buy from your shop, right? And that's not necessarily how it works or necessarily the way you should think about it, because really the way it starts is you have a brand who does come to you, right? And they say, hey, UGC creator, we need content. And then your video that you provide them goes not just back to the brand, but it goes back to their ad campaign, right? And then that ad campaign goes to the platform. And then that platform is where when they publish it, people click the link, people visit the website, people buy the product. And then all of this data, after it goes to the platform, comes back into what is called a pixel, which is essentially just a little bit of code on the website that combines with the platform data and helps you measure how effective your content is, right? And so that ability to measure how effective your content is, as you can imagine, really important, because all of that affects whether the brand comes back to you or not.
Yep.
Right? Because they need all this data to say, hey, this creator was really good, or hey, this creator didn't do something right, but they did this other thing right. So, you know, if you didn't have this feedback loop, you probably wouldn't have a lot of returning customers if nobody knew if it was any good, right? And if you don't know if it's any good, you can't sell them on doing it again, right? So this loop is really all part of you, because your video is going through this whole, like your video sets off this whole chain of events.
Yep.
Yours is at the very beginning, right? And then like the people who made the website, the people who did the checkout, the integrations with PayPal or Google Pay, like all those things hinge on your video getting them there. So realistically, you are the precipice of this loop working.
Yep.
Anything else?
No, I love this graphic that you made.
Right. So in that process, you're here. You're that first line of, troops coming in, and you're marching at the front of the line. And then obviously you have like all these other things that are like also helping convert behind you, right? So you're here. So then when you look at, because I believe, right.
Wait, go back really quickly. Just so we understand this. So it's like your ad is launched.
Mm-hmm.
The next step would be for clicking the link for the viewer to go to the landing page.
Right.
And this is all the customer journey. So you're going from the landing page, which has more info about the product, 5-star reviews, maybe even a UGC video. And then the goal obviously is to put it in the cart, go to checkout, and then, once they make a purchase, it's then delivered. And you are kind of that, that starting point, like Shane had said. You are you're the first thing that they see. I even think of it like, I don't know, like the host of a restaurant. Like you're like the front and center.
Right.
You're the image of the brand per se,
right.
At least for that advertisement.
Right, exactly. And I think also, I guess we didn't talk about it in this one too, but you know, delivery is also a huge part of the experience.
Yep.
And I don't remember what the study was or whatever, but I think it was that a lot of people, when they buy a product, they still remember the first video or the first advertisement that they saw from that brand.
Yep.
So like there's an attachment to what you said all the way to when the product's delivered, that you're being thought about even by that, like they're remembering what you told them, right? Like in we've been doing TikTok Shop, and we posted a video showcasing how to use this like MagSafe tripod. I actually have it right here. You can't see it anyway, but you can look on our TikTok Shop if you're interested.
UGC Shop.
But like that information where I was telling them, hey, here's all these different ways you can use it. It works great with this. It works great with that. When they get that delivery, that's part of like a customer experience as well. And I think that's why UGC is so important, is because your social proof all the way up until delivery is just as important. Like that resonates with people. So when we talked about the feedback loop, data was such a huge part of why that feedback loop is important, because if you didn't have the data, you wouldn't know if anything was any good. You just be shooting in the dark. So do you want to talk about these metrics and why they're important?
Yeah, totally. So when we're talking about your advertisement, the KPIs, the key performance indicators that we look to as UGC creators, as creative strategists, the data that personally tells a story for us. And the reason why I say for us is because there's a lot of key performance indicators out there, but the ones that we can really look to and almost like uncover clues that tell a story would be thumb stop rate. So how many people stop to watch the first 3 seconds of your advertisement? So that's important, but so is hold rate. And the reason why I say that is because it's easy to do something that's like clickbaity or almost like a cheap shot, where it's like, it got them to stop scrolling, but it was completely irrelevant to the actual narrative of the ad. Therefore, the hold rate is lower than what the brand would have liked. And like by hold rate, it basically means like, you know, after the hook, how many more seconds on average do those viewers give your ad the time of day, right? Before they kept scrolling. And in addition to that, another thing that we look to as well would be engagement rate. So this is how many people that may like your ad, comment on it, share it. And engagement rate, I would say, is often overlooked just because it's something that I don't really hear discussed in the UGC community. But this is where you can get your direct feedback from the target audience, because they're getting targeted with your ad. And if they give feedback in the comments, you're going to want to take it into account at the very least.
Yeah.
I've given this example before, but one of my clients that I used to do UGC for was a women's pants brand. And my UGC videos became their top performing ads. Even still, though, I was reading what the comments were saying. And one of the consistent comments that we were receiving was, this video is great. No shade at the woman in the video, but I just really wish that I saw a woman that was my size in these pants, because I don't relate to her size. And I wasn't offended. I was just like, oh my God, I didn't even think about thinking about like the average pant size for women in the US. And all I kept thinking is, oh man, like we really got to have like another woman that can really show the variety in sizes that they have. Cause it was like, you know, they had petite sizes, they had plus sizes, and then they had just, you know, like extra small to extra large. And so that feedback that I received in the engagement, through the comments, helped me create a stronger advertisement by including a plus size model in the video, in addition to me trying on the pants. Additionally, click-through rate is something important to look to, which is how many people click the link to go to the landing page. And if we don't have a strong hook, that's thumb stopping. If we don't have an ad that's engaging long enough to hold them, to educate them on the product and why they need it, the click-through rate is gonna be low. And our goal as UGC creators and creative strategists is to get the person to stop scrolling, watch it long enough to then click the link and go to the landing page. From there, depending on your role, it's out of your control in the sense that unless if you're leading strategy on the landing page, it's kind of just like,
it's not your fault if something goes wrong
up to the gods of marketing. And, you know, if there's obviously like a very, you know, high bounce rate, that then means that
we'll go into that in the next part.
Yeah, look at me jumping ahead.
But there's one thing I just wanted to, that was great. The one thing I just wanted to add to that is that I think part of why these statistics are there's more that you could obviously look at, but these are really important because, one, this is how knowing your data when a client comes back to you is how you're able to say, hey, I actually did really well on that then. Like if your client was like, yeah, but like, you know, we weren't getting like a high click through, right? And then, but you're like, but what was the thumb stop? And they're like, well, like 50% of people stopped to watch the ad. And it's like, okay, well, that's better than most of your other ads. So like, then the problem isn't just me. It's that, hey, like what can we say this time that would be higher converting? Like what can we say that would intrigue people more? And then on the other side is like when you're coming up with these like videos, is knowing these statistics help you plan that, like, say the client wants kind of like a joke at the top of the ad. Like if you're going to take more than 3 seconds to tell the joke, I don't think anybody's going to like stick around. Like if you're taking 4 or 5 seconds to tell a joke at the top that you think is intriguing, if the punchline doesn't come in 3 seconds, like people are likely going to just move on, right? So you got to make sure that you're thinking about how long these versions are. So like when they ask you to film a hook, can you film it shorter? Can you film it a little longer and see if that works? But see if you can like hit these marks where you're like, hey, I noticed like in the script, we kind of just babble on after the hook a little bit before getting into like the nuts and bolts. Maybe we should cut down on that. We should go straight into like what's important, like right away, because we're kind of that 3 to 15 second marker is kind of blank.
Yeah, that's a good example. Like if the client provided a script and the feedback, like the main call outs for key performance indicators was like, okay, like the hook was strong, but like the hold rate completely drops after the hook. That's when you can review it and be like, okay, well, the script, if you notice after the hook, which was scroll stopping, kind of blabs in like a non, you know, engaging way or whatever it is. The main takeaway for this is like the data does tell a story, and it's going to help equip you to figure out how to pivot accordingly based on the ad's performance. Because like Shane said, if you have a high thumb stop rate and a high hold rate, but a low click-through rate, that means that you stopped them from scrolling, you had them watch the video, you educated them, but there's just something that isn't selling them on the ad. So what can we change about the ad? And that's not your fault by any means. It's just like you're not always going to have a winning ad your first shot. Like, yes, it happens for me too, right? But also as a marketer, it would be naive to say that every ad is going to be a winner, because that's just not how it works,
right? And I think even to Kelly's point, the worst thing you can do is not under or overperform. Like if you meet the benchmarks of what the client wants every time, they're technically not learning anything. So if something's underperforming, don't be scared that means you're bad at your job or something, because it just means that, hey, something we did here didn't work. And then those lessons are takeaways. So like if it didn't work that time, you can tell your client, hey, well, let's figure out what didn't work. And then we can kind of like mark that as this is a trial and error. We need to see what works, what doesn't. But if you don't get positive or negative results and you're just kind of middle of the road, that doesn't give me anything to really know how to make better content.
Yeah. And he says like the worst thing, like relatively speaking, like it's still an accomplishment, but it's like it really just helps change your perspective on a poor performing ad.
Right. That's all I mean.
Yeah. Because you're learning like, okay, that just didn't work. But like, what maybe didn't work. Okay, well, let's look back at the hook. Oh, a high thumb stop rate. Okay, the hook did work. Oh, the hold rate, it was kind of weak. Okay, well, what can we change about that?
And if anything, maybe I'll take that back and say, if you're hitting their benchmarks, you're in a good spot, because definitely means you're doing
it's like
just
safe.
as good as safe.
You like clearly studied probably top performing ads, but also like the next challenge you could put on your plate is, how do I create like a standout winner?
Right.
Okay, let me look at MagicBrief and see what's trending right now as far as concept wise. Oh wow, they've never done a green screen ad. Let me take the script that I did from this, ad that did well, relatively speaking, and now plug it into the green screen ad, and maybe that'll be a standout winner.
Cold Prime said, I love this. Thank you for this. I'm starting my creative strategist journey.
Welcome. Amazing. If you didn't know already, we actually have a free trial for our creative strategy course on our website, which is ugc.pro. So definitely check it out.
And the free trial is extensive.
Yeah.
Like we have.
That's why I'm recommending this. It's like actually extensive.
It's actually, I think we kind of didn't
like
realize.
4 chapters of 5.
It's
of like 20.
It's a lot of good info in there. So definitely take advantage of that.
Yeah.
So data tells you a story, right? And like Kelly had talked about previously, there's a bunch of stuff that comes after your advertisement that people are measuring, and you don't need to know all this stuff, but you'll hear it all the time. So it's important that maybe you have this reference to come back to and go like, hey, I kind of get what you're talking about, but they don't necessarily concern you directly.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say though is like, say hypothetically a brand comes to you and they're like, yeah, your ad didn't do well. And you're like, okay, well, what was the thumb stop? What was the hold rate? What was specifically the click-through rate? And if they say that it has a high thumb stop rate, a high hold rate, and a high click-through rate, that means your ad did its job. But if you go and see, and they tell you that, oh, well, the bounce rate was really high. What is the bounce rate?
Right.
How many visitors immediately leave the website after clicking the link? That means that there is something that is incongruent, something that is not connecting, something that is turning off that potential customer from purchasing. And it wasn't your ad that turned them off because they clicked the link. There's something incongruent with the ad and the landing page. And so it's data that, this isn't data that you're like, oh, okay, it was a high bounce rate, therefore, like, I have to go back to the drawing board for my ad. It's more so we're giving you like armor.
Yeah.
Armor against a blaming paid media manager.
Right.
A paid media manager that likes to point fingers.
Right. You're
They're
always
not
all
all like that,
scapegoat.
but it happens way too often. Creative becomes the scapegoat, and we want to equip you guys with the right tools and the right armor to be able to, respond in these conversations rather than feel like you need to apologize or as though you messed up. So we have bounce rate, and then add to cart rate, which is how many visitors end up adding the product to their cart. And so this is a great KPI. However, if there's a high add to cart rate and a low abandonment a high add to cart rate, but also a high abandoned cart. God damn it, words are hard. If there is both a high add to cart rate and a high abandoned cart ratio, that means that there is also something that is not congruent. And, that's where we send an email, not we, but marketers will send an email and say, hey, you forgot about stuff in your cart, enjoy 10% off.
Right.
Followed by the checkout process. So we have conversion rate, how many visitors ended up buying a product eventually. And then AOV, which is the average order value. What is the average dollar amount conversion spent? So what is the average dollar spent by these customers? And then return on ad spend, you're going to hear this all the time, which is also seen as ROAS, ROAS, which is your ad's gross profit compared to its cost. So return on ad spend. If I spend, for every dollar spent for ad, like, am I at least making $1 back? Mm-hmm. We don't want to break just even. We want to make a profit though. And so that's kind of just a little overview of, from your ad being launched as an advertisement all the way through to, the landing page, the checkout process, and of course the product being delivered.
I thought this was a great question. Welcome, Brittany.
Welcome.
She said, new here and a couple months into my UGC. How long does it take to generate this data? I'm assuming you meant a few days of ad running per month.
So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like even your company had reaffirmed that, like, give it 2 weeks. 2 weeks time for like a fair run. Of course, it depends on ad spend too, I would say, because, you know, if you're spending thousands of dollars on an ad in days and it's not showing it's profitable, then they're likely going to turn it off. But I would say the sweet spot is definitely at least 7 days, but 14 days is kind of the like
14 speaker. Yeah, and a month, depending on the type of ads, because what's happening now in the industry is that these platforms are using their algorithm to do placements. So because it's harder to track people and their data, essentially they're using the algorithm that does organic content to help place your ad. So because of that, there's this like extended 30-day window where when they do those kinds of placements, which can be upwards to like 80 to 50% of the ads that people run. Some people aren't running those at all, but I believe there's a choice, at least with Meta. And my point being is that depends on how they're placing it, but it could be a 30-day window, because the things fluctuate. And the way we were explained is it kind of like will go up really fast and then tank. And then like they use that data to then place it over time over the next 30 days. So like some people will only test it for 7 while doing these AI placements and go, oh, well, it didn't do that well. Because they like they've been testing different placements.
Oh yeah. Like moving it around. And
right. They're moving it around.
Like resetting the data.
Yeah. It's like almost like instead of like telling it where to target, because it doesn't know as much about the people, they're trying different groups to see what works. So hopefully that makes sense.
We should have Lamise back on.
Yeah. Brittany also asked, great. I asked because I want to know when or if to follow up with clients.
I would say it's always safe to check in after the ad's been running for 2 weeks and just see how it's going. And then if they respond with, oh, we actually haven't launched it yet, then you could say like, oh, no worries, I'll check back in 4 weeks time.
Yep.
And what you could do is I like to actually set a scheduled email just so I don't forget.
Yeah, that's good.
That way then my email just sends and it was scheduled.
That's a smart idea.
Yeah. All right. So UGC 101. Let me go ahead and remove this. So user-generated content, video and photo content. So basically like what is UGC? Video and photo content crafted by individuals in cooperation with brands used for either social media or digital marketing, which I'm pretty sure a lot of us are familiar with. This type of content seamlessly blends into social media feeds to appear organic while actually being part of a marketing strategy. Because the content uses real people in a way that feels authentic, it helps foster community and build consumer trust. As opposed to highly produced commercials, which leverage VFX and Photoshop, user-generated content is filmed by a creator on their iPhone, showcasing the true capabilities of the brand's product or service in a relatable and realistic environment. User-generated content is constantly evolving based on social media trends and nuances taking place, but at its core, it remains the same: user-generated video and photo content. And so the last part is probably the biggest takeaway, just because I know most of us are familiar with what UGC is, but UGC is constantly evolving. And the biggest change that UGC experienced was when TikTok really blew up and TikTok trends started to become a thing, and TikTok text, the style, the aesthetic of it became a thing. I like to think back to UGC back in like 2018, where it was basically like, it really was taking just like a bunch of testimonials and mashing them up into one advertisement. But because of platforms like TikTok, UGC then evolved over time. And one thing that I always wonder is, where is UGC headed next? I can't tell the future.
Totally.
But what I can tell is, I can pay attention to social trends and up and coming apps and just things that are taking place online, and kind of take calculated assumptions and risks on, testing new things to see, where things are headed.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, there's no like standard for UGC. UGC is just native content. So, native content on YouTube is different than native content on TikTok or on Meta or Facebook. So, figuring out like for instance, I heard that the new trend is like the old school YouTube vlogs, like Casey Neistat and like those OG like vloggers that used to do like daily vlogs. That's becoming a big trend again. Is like people doing the like just the daily vlog style that was
like
really
the
big.
Unedited.
Right.
Actually, I heard this too because I think it was what's his face, Hormozy.
Yeah.
Who was like,
Hormozy was a
I'm
big one.
basically going to like very unproduced long form video.
Right.
Like very minimal editing, very minimal fancy schmancy VFX. I'm going for long form. So anyways, it's just interesting. And it's like one of those things where, one of the misconceptions in the UGC community, especially early on, was your UGC video has to be under 30 seconds or else it's just not going to perform. Everyone's attention span is so small these days. You got to make them short and quick. And that just isn't true. An ad can be 90 seconds long. It can be 3 minutes long. If it is engaging and it's connecting to the audience and it's a story worth listening to, you'll listen to it. And I say this confidently because I had a client whose top performing ad on Facebook was a 15-minute tutorial.
Wow.
A 15-minute tutorial, but it was for magnetic lashes, and it was targeting those who were skeptical and maybe struggled with understanding if they could even do it themselves.
Right.
So
hell, I watched Shrek in 120 parts on TikTok. So I mean, I think anybody can do anything in terms of long form content.
That's so true. So we'll quickly go over what are the phases of UGC creation, just because it's really interesting to kind of see it broken down this way. So phase 1, lock down a client, inbound and outbound leads, nail down the scope of work.
But before we go into that, maybe we could just talk for a second about what inbound and outbound leads are.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, because I don't know how new some of you are,
Well,
but
I think also on the next slide, it'll probably
oh,
explain
do we
it.
go into that? Oh, we go into all these. Okay.
Hey.
So we're going to go into every one of these really quickly with you. So
Yeah, we don't even have to go over them.
Right.
We can't see.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, thanks, Nicole.
Let's see. Here we go.
Nice. Oh, good.
And then I'm going to actually make it smaller so you can see.
Perfect. So this is what we're looking at. These are the phases of UGC, but we're going to go to the next slide where we explain everything. So inbound and outbound leads. So this is the first step in order to make UGC your new career or side hustle, which is getting your first client. So the 2 ways to secure clients is through either inbound or outbound messages. And it's important to keep yourself open to opportunities by building a personal brand online to attract inbounds while actively pursuing potential clients via cold outreach messages. So what is an inbound lead? What is an outbound lead? So inbound leads are potential clients who discovered you and are submitting an inquiry to work with you. They likely either discovered you on social media or were referred by someone. Do you need something?
Oh, no, sorry. You go. I was going
to.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
No, it's okay.
I was going to pull up our inbound outbound lead template to show after this, but that's okay.
What's the template?
It's the form, the inbound form. The lead generation form.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I could just see it from my peripheral.
Sorry, you go.
So inbound leads, basically like potential clients who are reaching out to you because of the personal brand that you've built online. It's a presence that can be held on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or LinkedIn. All my inbounds come from LinkedIn. I haven't done cold outreach for clients since probably 2022.
That's a flex.
2020.
That's a flex.
They're all referrals or inbounds. I don't do any cold outreach. And yet in 2022, working less than part-time, made over $100,000 doing UGC. And then, this past year made almost $200,000. Again, just inbounds and referrals, which is pretty incredible. And it's because of 2 things. my personal presence on LinkedIn, I've built a personal brand online, but it's attracting students, not clients. I don't get inbounds from clients. I get inbounds from people wanting to know about UGC Pro and how it can help their UGC or creative strategy business. But also really leaning heavily into what is the B2B mindset. And I say this because we kind of talked about it earlier, kind of like skimmed over it, but like creators, a lot of creators treat their business and relationships with their clients as though it's B2C, so business to customer. And it's the reason why you're not able to secure long-term relationships. Having a B2B mindset and really being flexible and understanding and working with your client, you are not only going to have a fruitful relationship with them, but they will also become champions of your services and refer you to other people. I mean, it's really incredible.
I would say like a really great example that I'm just thinking of now is there's a lot of talk, obviously, constantly about usage rights being whether you do perpetual or you set a time limit. And the argument for setting a time limit on usage rights is often that if I don't, then they're never going to come back to me for more work. And which is interesting because like in a B2C mindset, when you run a company and you have products, you want those products to run out so that they buy more. You want to create scarcity so that they have to keep buying from you. I mean, that's essentially what you do when you run a company is you want, like, especially when it's something that has like a limited lifetime, right? You want to be able to like have them keep buying more products or return for a new product. So I think that's where people feel that need. But in the case of a B2B mindset, you have to understand that your client wants a relationship. They don't want a product.
Yeah.
They want to be able to come back to you again and again and again because there's no scarcity of content.
Never.
There's going to be content for all the live long day. Just content. Because
every ad has a shelf life. It doesn't matter how much money it's generated. I've literally had an ad generate over $15 million in less than 12 months. And the company was acquired and they literally killed the ad because it was no longer on brand for them.
Also, why just have one ad that kills? Why not have multiple ads?
Yeah.
It's not like just because you made one good ad, they're just going to stick with one ad and put all their ad spend behind it.
Yeah.
Then everybody will have seen the ad, and then it obviously hits a shelf life. So you got to have multiple ads, right? So don't ever think about like that you have to create scarcity for your clients. They're already running with very limited windows to run content.
Yeah.
Plus, then there's like a new holiday or a new sale or the product changes or whatever.
There's a new product launch. There's a rebrand. There's a million reasons why your client's going to come back to you. But if you treat them like B2C and you're a stickler and you're hard to work with and you're not flexible and you tell them it's your way or the highway, I'm not going to work with you. And I say I'm not because I'm a former creative director of creative strategy who was actively hiring creators for my full-time job, but also now, even as a contract creative strategist and UGC creator, I'm constantly sourcing creators and I'm looking for creators who have just like a willingness to kind of be a partner versus a storefront owner.
Right. Exactly.
But ultimately, you run your own business your own way. You're welcome to run it how you please. That is your right. And that is the beauty of being a business owner. We are personally sharing our experiences and our knowledge with combined 20 years of experience.
But the one thing that you should take away, no matter who you are, you're not selling a product, you're selling a relationship. Yep. So always remember that.
And this goes full circle because when you're selling the relationship, all of a sudden you're getting more inbound leads. You're not having to do so many outbounds because you have built a presence online. You have built a presence with your clients who then again become champions of your brand and start sending other brands your way.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was going to bring it up earlier when Kelly said referrals. Kelly is like a magnet for referrals because everybody goes, oh, well, I worked with Kelly and we did fantastic. And then somebody comes out of the woodwork just it's like, oh, hey, like I need you for this big brand. And she's like, okay, sure. And it's all, she just sits there, right? There's no, you don't have to spend time like reaching out to people. So those relationships exponentially grow.
Oh, it really does. I'm honestly, now that I'm like looking back and being able to say I don't do cold outreach, I'm not saying I won't ever do it, but the fact that I haven't done cold outreach in 4 years is pretty incredible.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. I mean, that's great.
It's pretty incredible. Like even for my creative strategy contracts, when I first left my job in August, it was like I secured, I think it was like 3 contracts that equated to $300,000 in the time span of like 2 weeks on LinkedIn, and they were all inbounds.
Yeah. I just wanted to, I was looking at it earlier, but I just wanted to share the oh
yes, the Tally.
Yeah, Tally. God, thank you. I was trying to remember the name of it.
There you go. You can look for it now.
Okay. Tally.so. So we use this website called Tally.
Sure, share it.
I know I will. I just gotta I don't want my login to show.
There you go.
So we use this platform called Tally. The reason why I feel like I'm a big promoter of it is because we're currently paying for Typeform, and it's like $100 a month just for forms, which is ridiculous. I think Tally's like $30 a month, and you get a ton of features. So why am I talking about forms? Because when you're talking about lead generation, you want to, let's see. I need to go to, sorry, I just want to make sure I can, oh, here we go. Oh, that's not the right one. Let's get started. That was what it was. So I'm going to show you an example of what a lead generation form looks like. And I think there's some statistics in our deck that talk about how like 80% of marketers today say that like all of their forms come, or all of their leads come from a form, or like it's the #1 way, or is 80% say that forms are the #1 way to create lead generation. And what a lot of people do today in our community is they just put email me at blah, blah, blah. Right. And I don't know if you're like me or anyone else, but every time I see that, I don't even use the like connected mailbox that clicks to my, like when I click it, it takes me to like my Apple Mail, which isn't set up, or like, I just like, I don't have my email open, but I like have a question. This helps you not only convert them faster to becoming a lead, but what's important is that when you add more information to a form, it helps you have a better first meeting. So for instance, if I go back to this and I go to edit, I'll just show you all the questions you can ask. And this is a form that comes with our UGC University, is you start asking questions so that when the client gives you their email or wants to set up a meeting, you're already going into that meeting going, they have no idea what UGC is. They have a lot of experience with UGC. Why do they need UGC? You know, and that information helps you go into that meeting and just own it, right? Maybe you even prepare a deck because of the information, and you want to go into it with like a concept already, or you want to go into it with the right statistics, right? And so if you don't have that and they just send you an email, then you're like either asking questions over email, which nobody really wants to do that, but you're kind of leaving yourself up to not owning that first meeting.
Yep.
So point being, these forms are super important, and can't recommend enough whether you use ours or make your own. A form is going to make your inbound and outbound life so much better. Totally.
And yeah, it comes for free with UGC University, as does a lot of tools.
Yeah.
As do a lot of tools. So SOW. So lock down a client, still phase 1, but scope of work. You'll hear SOW. So if you're not familiar with the acronym yet, now you are. So it's important to nail down the scope of work before signing any agreements and working with a client. So a scope of work, in addition to a contract, guarantees both parties are on the same page when it comes to expectations. Understanding the SOW enables you to most accurately quote a potential client on the UGC concepts that were or was requested. So for example, if the client wants you to record a voiceover rather than be on camera with the lines provided, you would want to quote them appropriately. Likewise, if you were just delivering the raw footage without editing them, the rate you charge would be different. So again, it's important to nail down that scope of work, which is we have it provided in Tally for that quick survey to help you nail down that estimate. Because like, yes, we do offer packages, right? Like we have a one-off project, 3 concepts, 6 concepts, and then like, you know, the 6 concepts is a discount compared to the 3 or whatever. But if it's a much larger ask, it's so important to know this ahead of time, or else you're going to be doing so much more work. And then, you know, for UGC, we don't normally charge hourly rates, but my God, by the end of a project, if you track the hours you did on it and your hourly rate's coming out to like below $50, below $35 an hour, I'd say, red flag.
Yep.
Absolute red flag. You should not be taking work that is coming out to less than $35 an hour as someone that is, you know, a UGC creator that is working with clients. Like, yes, if you're new, obviously that's a different story.
Totally. No, it's great.
Yeah. All right. So working agreement, contract. Are we ready to spill some tea? No, I'm just kidding. So one of the most frequently asked questions about starting UGC is, what kind of contract am I supposed to send the client? Keep in mind, Shani and I are coming from both the brand and creator side. So the truth is, most companies have their own contracts that they will send you. They often have lawyers and pre-written agreements in place for this. And it's important to understand that you should only be signing one contract, and it should be the brand's. Asking them to sign yours in addition to theirs will cost them quite a bit in legal fees and push back the project timeline, because if you send over your contract to be signed in addition to theirs, they have to send it to their legal team, which then takes time and money. That's a basic like takeaway. So instead, you should be redlining their contract minimally, but redline. You want to make sure that the agreed upon terms are in the shared contract. So you are welcome to redline to ensure that the agreement protects both parties. Now, if the client doesn't have a contract, that's when you should use your contract. So send them something simple that just outlines the scope of work and agreed upon terms. And so the legalpreneur actually has a free legal UGC checklist that you can review along with other resources such as like a vetted contract. Because one of the questions I get is like, what contract do you use? And like, I'm not like a legal influencer, like a legal mentor. Like that's not my bread and butter. I'm not going to pretend like it is. So therefore, I don't provide that. However, I do point to the vetted ones who are. And so the main takeaway, and like I'll give an example, is I was hiring creators for a brand in the fall. And one of the creators was like, she was down to sign our contract. But after signing our contract, she was like, no, you have to sign mine. And I went back to the client and I knew exactly what they were going to say, because I was like, this is stupid. Why are we signing 2 contracts? Like, you already signed it. Why are we signing 2? And he was just like, almost like, you're asking me this question. I was like, I know, I'm doing it on behalf of the creator. I'm telling you where they're at. They want you to sign theirs. And they were just like, no, choose another creator, because if they're that ignorant to the industry, we don't want to work with them. Why would we sign their contract too? Right. And so unfortunately, I've had to go with other creators because they were unwilling to either sign the brand's contract in the first place. They wanted their contract. And it's like one of those things where it's like, as long as the agreed upon terms are in the contract, why does it matter? And the thing is like, I'm sure someone could be like, well, then if it doesn't matter, why don't they sign my contract? And it's like, it's just, again, B2B mindset. Do you want to have a long, fruitful relationship with this client, or do you want to put up a stink every time that they want to do something?
Totally. And also, who's going to sign? Like, not many people can sign on behalf of the company, and like, it requires a lot. Like, if there's one thing I could tell you, like, if you're talking to like some, you know, marketing bro on Twitter, like maybe he could sign your contract, but at most companies, everybody fears having to go to the accounting or finance team or the legal team because of the amount of money it costs just to get and time to do anything. And you don't want to have your budget all of a sudden inflated now because you had to go to the legal team like every time you need a new creator. So I will say a lot of bigger companies are way less likely to do something like that.
And look, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not saying bend over backwards for them and like have them, you know, treat you like they're the boss. But all I'm saying is I haven't had to do cold outreach in 4 years. And part of that is because, again, my willingness to work with brands and clients. And that also comes in return with being flexible with contracts. Did I use a contract last week? Absolutely. And it was because the agency that I'm working with was like, do you have a contract? And I was like, yeah, I do. But also, if you have a contract, I'm happy to sign that. And she came back to me and was like, yeah, no, our team's cool with your contract. Go ahead and send it over. And it was like a very basic breakdown of like scope of work, you know, preferred time of payment, which like I never put one, but I was like, oh, preferred time of payment. Now that I'm like really kind of focused more on UGC Pro and less on UGC, I was kind of like, okay, like I'll do like a week and see what they say. And even in the contract, it's like preferred 7 days, but if it doesn't work out, please communicate before signing this contract and we can come to an agreement. And so ultimately it's like, I don't know. Because what I'm trying to say is it can come off as like naivety or just like ignorance to the industry when you are unwilling to work with a brand. And it's so easy to want instant gratification. And don't get me wrong, like I'm not perfect and I've made lots of mistakes in my career. I've been in the industry for 10 years. And the reason why I'm so passionate about talking about these topics is because I don't want you guys to experience the same, you know, issues I've experienced in the past. And it's one thing where it's like, yes, you always need a contract. And yes, you should sign the brand's contract. And yes, if they don't have a contract, you should have a contract because there should always be a contract. And ultimately, there are people who could listen to this and completely disagree. That's quite all right. We're, again, business owners, but this is coming, again, from 20 years combined experience, coming from both the brand and creator side, not just someone on in a random role on the brand side, creative director of creative strategy for brands that were running $3 million a month on Facebook alone for advertisements.
Absolutely. Again, I think it comes back to you're managing relationships, not a certain, like this isn't just a product you're selling people. It's a relationship. And what interactions with them make that a fun or better experience than somebody else, right?
Yep.
So
that's so true.
Just
it comes down to like basic people skills.
But like if you have a very specific contract, but you know you just crush these like ads and you're super involved or whatever, then do it. But if you're gonna be like, you got to think about your whole experience. And if the contract is really important to you, how can you make sure that they're still coming away with a good experience despite that?
Totally.
Oh, I'll do
oh, sorry.
I gotta do this.
Nice. Also, I'm realizing we're kind of already getting to time. So what should we do?
Well, my friend,
well, we could always just pause and pick back up.
Yeah. Of course, ask questions. Well, let me just see. Is there anything else really important in this section that we should cover?
Well, here, why not really quickly? Let me just go here and then present. And then I can just like maybe just like
just jump through them.
Yeah. So we have concept ideation, which is next. Like obviously, once you have the SOW nailed down, you're going to want to come up with a content plan. So this is something where you're coming up with, unless the client requests otherwise, you'll be providing the script, a shot list, you know, variations to test. So alternate hooks, whatever else you want to A/B test, along with visual examples for reference is preferred, which is where things like MagicBrief come into play. I got on a call last minute with one of my clients last week and had to have 6 UGC examples ready to pitch them. And I pulled up what is our types and concepts deck in our in UGC University. And so if you guys don't know what it is, or you don't have UGC University yet, it has 40 different UGC concept types in that deck. And so I was able to very quickly pull my favorite 6.
Yeah.
And so it has been an incredible tool for me to have when it comes to concept ideation. So shameless plug, if you don't already have UGC University, it doesn't matter if you've been in the game for 2-3 years or if you're completely new, this is a resource that every UGC creator should have to speed up their turnaround rate and overall workflow.
100%.
Script writing. So we kind of went over this as far as concept ideation. One aspect of it is script writing. So the script is where you plan out your shots, your audio, and on-screen text for a video or a campaign of videos. And this is one of the most integral and thusly scrutinized part of your UGC. You should always be sharing the script with your client before filming to ensure that you're on the same page, or else you will be asked for a refilm. And honestly, if you didn't show them the script before filming, the refilm is on you. I'm
Totally.
sorry to say, but you got to be transparent with them. You got to get the script approved before. The more information, the better.
Yeah, it's a bit of your paper trail. Like having that script is like a single source of truth. So if it wasn't on the script, then it's kind of like Ron Burgundy always reads the script from Anchorman, like kind of like that. If it's not on there,
that's funny.
He doesn't read it. I just wanted to say one thing.
Yeah.
When it comes to, because I get this a lot, and anybody who's like super creative, it's sometimes hard to take notes that don't make any sense or you don't agree with.
Yep.
I wrote this little metaphor down here because I think it's important as a creator, whether you're a creative strategist or creator, you're a chef, and your client will often ask you to add ingredients to the dish that clearly don't make sense, right? They like, I want more salt. I want broccoli. I want whatever. And you're like, that doesn't really go. Your job will be to find solutions that allow for those errant ingredients while also making a meal that tastes fantastic. So in a way, you're you got to put the ingredients that they want in there, but your job is to make sure that it still works. And as soon as you start going, well, I'm just going to throw it in, and actually I don't really care anymore about the ad, it's less likely to work, of course, because you're not really putting your effort into it, but your client might not like it. It might not even be what they wanted, right? And then they'll go, well, I don't like this, even though it was their suggestion. So being able to play with those ingredients helps, and making sure that when it was in the script, the client approved it, you can like mold it the way you need to.
Totally. Very well put. And that was definitely important to include.
Oh, yeah.
So creating a shot list, the shot list can include testimonials. So on camera, you talking to camera, specific B-roll shots, different locations, specific shots with inspo examples. Now we also have what is a deck, which is the shot list tool belt in UGC University, 40 different shots for you to include in your UGC video, which again has been a tool that I've been using with my clients in present day because it speeds up my workflow. It keeps me creative and excited about my work because it's so easy to just do the basic, like, okay, testimonial, I'm talking to camera. Okay, I'm going to get the product outside and bring it in and do an unboxing. Okay, now I'm going to do a product demo. Okay, I'll do a before and after. That's it. Well, what about the other like 35 shots we've got included in the shot list tool belt?
Yep.
You may never know what they are until you invest into UGC University. So creating a shot list and having a variety of shots in mind is super important.
Super important.
And then concept approval. So before moving forward, it's important to share your concept idea. Again, you want to share the script, the inspo, the shot list with the client. By doing so, you avoid unnecessary revisions, saving you time and the client money. And not to mention, it ensures the client remains happy, which can make a long-term partnership more likely. And then phase 3, time to shoot. So you got your shot list and you're ready to get going. You go into production. It may take longer in the early stages, or let me correct myself, it's going to take you a lot longer in the early stages of UGC, but eventually you get the swing of it. You have your workflow, and having things like the UGC University shot list can help a lot. Oh, we don't talk about this enough. Back up your footage, and please, for the love of God, don't ever buy a drive outside of a LaCie drive. It's not
the only
LaCie,
one to get.
It's LaCie. It's French, but it's the only one that you should use.
Only. I only get these because they last forever. Yep. I mean, they're great. And what you should do, here's my hack, is pay for Google Drive, get Google Sync, oh yeah, nice.
Shameless plug.
Oh, wait.
Sorry.
Oh, no, just because this is a PC, it doesn't work like that.
Oh, I don't know.
We just put the link
a referral link, shameless plug, but like, this is the only drive you should own.
Yeah,
the only drive.
The only drive. So get Google Drive, do Google Sync, and so then you have your drive plugged in, You back up all your stuff onto your drive, of course, but then Google's automatically syncing your drive to the cloud. So if anything does happen to your drive, you've automatically got everything backed up constantly.
Which, like, you know, drives can be stolen. If you have it in a backpack, it gets stolen. I literally have a friend who's a designer, and they had their drive in their car. And
or in our case, dog chewed it up.
Yeah, Cece did. Yeah, she did. I did not back that drive up. So anyways, that's super important. And the one example I'll give is we were at Best Buy one day, like last year, and there was one drive that was on sale. And I was like, ooh, I'm going to try this one out. I kid you not. I plugged it in. I dumped the footage on it. It corrupted.
Drives aren't just like an easy tech. Like,
you need a lessee drive. I will. That is the one thing that there's no argument on. Like that. This is like done story.
It's what everybody uses in
industry
our industry
standard.
too. Yeah. So then you've got video editing wherever you're doing it. I mean, I'm sure right now you could be using, you know, CapCut or whatever. We obviously totally recommend learning Premiere if you can.
Yeah.
It's industry standard, and that way your clients can also review the project files if you need to.
And you'll get paid more.
And you'll get paid more. Yeah. And just more video editing stuff. Submit for client review. When you submit videos, part of that experience is how they review your video. So, like, if you're sending them a Google Drive link, do they now have to spend their time writing the comments in an email? Do they have to now write comments somewhere else? Like, maybe that process for them isn't as streamlined. So one of the things that we definitely use a lot in the industry is called Frame.io. And it's just a really seamless, it's literally made for content review. They can comment directly on it. They can write onto the video and say, like, hey, that, like in this example, like they can just circle something like, can we fix that? Or can we blah, blah, blah. So Frame.io is a great experience to showcase that stuff. So,
and it makes the editing process for you easier because, like, say it's like the 7 second 0.03 millisecond marker in the video, and they like have an issue with something, they can literally like circle it at the exact point that it happened, and it's just going to make the process easier for you too.
And it's all timestamped too, so you see the comments on the timeline.
And then even though we have a free trial link, you can just go to frame.io and it's a free link because they don't have an affiliate.
And if you use Premiere, you can use it in your Premiere so that you can see, like, it'll work seamlessly in your project. So like if you click on a comment, it'll take you to that point in your timeline, and then you can upload directly to Frame.io from Premiere. So it's a pretty great. I mean, yeah, it's a great integration.
And then you'll obviously revise your deliverables based on the client's feedback. So during this part of phase 5, you'll make adjustments to your UGC concept, again, based on the client's feedback. But that said, it's important to understand that it is not industry standard to refilm footage during the revision process for free. Now, there is an exception because if you didn't share your script and you just film the concept, even if the client's like, don't worry about sending it to me before, you're all good. You got to be like, nope, you got to review it. You got to approve it. Because if you don't, then all of a sudden they do get a free refilm because you didn't share the idea with them before. Right. But if you shared the idea with them, you shared the shot list, you shared the inspo example, and they gave the green light, that's when you can let them know. Like, and it's important also to establish this early on, letting them know in the SOW, which is like, I don't do free refilms. Like, any refilm requests are going to be, you know, at my hourly rate of X or whatever it is.
Or, I mean, in some cases, like maybe another exception would be like there's a B-roll shot that they need, right? Like something that's really low lift.
Yeah.
That's something that you could take into your own discretion and say, well, that would be really extensive for me. But if it's simple, it might be a way to make your client go, oh, they're so cool for doing that.
Yeah, that's true.
But it doesn't take you a ton of effort.
That's true. B2B mindset, which I do all the time. Like, oh, like we weren't crazy about like that last line with that last line. Can you swap it out for this? And it's like, say me talking to camera, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to refilm it because I'm not going to look the same, but I can do a voiceover and I can cover myself talking with this B-roll shot. Right. And then all of a sudden it took me low effort and the client's happy. And I don't have to be like that, like asshole who's like, I'm not doing it for free. And they're just like, okay, well, you're really difficult to work with. I don't want to work with you.
Right. So find a good balance.
Yeah.
There's always a good balance.
And I said quotations just because that's how the client is going to think, like that's what they're going to feel.
Right. Totally.
Oh, and also industry standard, I would say, is 3 rounds of revisions. I know some creators offer 2, but definitely offer 2 to 3 revisions in post-production for free, like complimentary. Right. And then final approval. This is something that we need to talk about. And it's because I work with so many UGC creators and they don't really understand proper delivery. So during this final part of phase 5, you'll be delivering the approved assets. Now, it's important to keep everything organized for the client. This includes the link that you share housing the approved deliverables. Using Google Drive or Dropbox enables you to keep your client's assets organized in a folder structure. I hate WeTransfer.
Yeah, the WeTransfer.
Because it's like, it's going to expire and it's so hard for the client to keep organized. If you want to have a long-term relationship with your client, be down to make the commitment by having a Google Drive. It's a business expense for the type of content we're working with. It's going to cost you $5 a month. It's going to make the biggest difference. Yep. Do not use WeTransfer. Create a client folder. And within that client folder, which right here, so create a client folder. So this is client 1. And within that folder, thank you.
Oh.
Within that folder, you're going to put projects. So say, for example, it's project 1 and the date. And then within that, you're going to have an approved folder and a drafts folder. And when you share the link with your client, when it comes to a revision, resend the link. Don't make your point of contact go sifting through the email thread back to email 1 to get the first link to the link. Every time you respond, it should be, here's the link to the revised drafts and share the link.
Yep.
Don't make them search for it.
Yep.
Little things like this solidify that B2B relationship. And ultimately, as someone that's been practicing this for years, again, like I'm just going to start pointing to, I haven't had to do cold outreach in 4 years.
Good experience, right? If they have a good experience, they're going to come back.
Yeah, they're going to come back. And then you send your invoice. So finally, the moment you've been waiting for, make that money. So again, once you've completed your project, or depending on your business structure, like you might ask for 50% up front. Anyways, generally this invoice will be paid per project. And this means that you will charge a flat rate for the UGC project. And then if agreed upon, additional charges for extra rounds of revisions, additional deliverables, such as iterations or something along those lines. In most cases, a brand will pay you within 15 to 30, 45, 60, or sometimes even 90 plus days, depending on their accounting setup. And it's just important to note that not all companies have the same flexibility to work with you on your preferred payment process. This goes back to the B2B mindset. They would need to check with their accounting team prior. And that said, there is a chance the brand will opt out to working with you if you aren't willing to be flexible with their accounting team.
Yep. Just, and there's tons of information on invoices out there. So feel free to look it up. I mean, there's tons of templates out there. Yep. So also, if you ever need help with it, you just hit us up. And then we talked about asking for data. We talked about that previously. Just check in 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks after. Don't feel scared to hound them. Just keep at it. And sometimes they will be kind of hard to get a hold of, or like they won't necessarily want to talk about it, or they're like, well, I have to talk to this person. Just be kind of annoying about it, because that data is worth more than maybe even the client. Being able to have a good case study is going to sell itself. So,
yeah. And then I also even provide an example, which it's, hey, right. Say like, I don't know, hey, Shane, I hope you're doing well. I'm following up to see how the UGC ads that I produced last month are doing. Specifically, out of the concepts I provided to date, which ones are showing the most promise? Are there any standout KPIs that you see, such as thumb stop rate, view through rate, click-through rate, conversion rate, or return on ad spend? Lastly, how did these ads compare to the other ads running on your account? Knowing this information will help the future iterations and new concept strategies to offer a stronger ROAS. Thank you in advance.
Yep.
So all of a sudden, I turned it from me, do it for me, give it to me. It's this information, this feedback loop is going to benefit you, because it's going to help me strategize future iterations and net new concepts inspired by these standout KPIs?
Totally. We talked about case studies. Case studies are just, once you get all that information, put it together. There's that one company that we've talked to before that does the reviews, that helps you get client reviews.
Oh, UGC.
Trust UGC.
Trust UGC.
Right. Like that's a really cool tool. Having those case studies and social proof helps you win more clients. So data is a big part of that. And then that data helps you upsell them. Right. So if it works well, say, let's do a bigger package. Let's do a retainer. Let's work on it. Like let's that data helps support you, or those case studies do.
Yep.
And that's it.
Amazing. So really quickly, that was, again, just like the introduction of UGC University. It's actually 9 hours long, and it sounds excessive and crazy, but Shane and I truly brought our 20 years of combined experience to the table to help just further strengthen your skill sets as a UGC creator, regardless of where you're at in your journey. UGC University truly is for any level creator. You can be someone who's on here and you're like, I don't even know what UGC stands for. This course is for you. In the same breath, if you're a UGC creator and even a mentor, you've been in the game for 2-3 years, this is also for you. There are so many tools in this university. It's honestly an uncanny for how much information and value that comes with it. If you click on this, Shane, and go to the checkout page, it'll list a bunch of the things that come with UGC University. And so we have what is, scroll down, sweet. So we have 9 hours of video lessons, a 230 plus page lesson plan. So like a deck that we go through, 24 in-depth chapters for UGC, a UGC glossary with nearly 40 UGC concept types. Again, this is the deck that I use on a regular basis when it comes to pitching my clients on ideas. When I show them this deck, 9 out of 10 times, they are so impressed. Their jaw is like on the floor.
Yep.
They're
Every
like,
time.
This is.
And we've gotten that from multiple people now.
Yep. We also have a shot list tool belt. Same thing. It's a deck with 40 ideas on how to shoot your content. So imagine 40 different shots for your UGC concepts. We also have 2 portfolio templates built to convert. So we have a Canva template and a super template. The Canva template is the one that I literally have. So like I made one for myself and I created a template for you guys. So it's a replica of mine. But if you want to move past Canva, you're welcome to. And we have a super template, which Shane uses super. He has a tutorial on it, yada, yada, yada. We also have a Canva promo card that I also use with my clients and I'm able to close on, added bundles. It's basically like, this is my promo for April or May. And then that's how I sell. Like I went from 1 concept to 6 concepts by just sending my rate card.
Yeah.
And then we have 3 presentation templates to help you pitch clients and win deals. You have access to our Notion dashboard to help you manage your business, which is something that we normally sell for $27. You get it for free with the course. We have a client onboarding survey with Tally, which we went through with you guys. And then we also have real life exercises throughout the course to begin flexing your UGC muscle and begin implementing what you're learning and so much more. And if you take the 2024 UGC census, you can get $20 off by simply completing the census. Whoopsies.
Yeah, so just complete the census and you'll get $20 off, which is a win-win-win. And if you don't know anything about the census, it's basically just our way of collecting data so that we can come back with a full report on how the community's doing, what people are making, how much they charge, how they're feeling, success tips, anything like that. So we're going to aggregate all that information, and contributing to that is good for the whole.
Yeah, and we're going to publish it publicly, but it's all anonymous, of course. And then outside of that, go to ugc.pro to gain access to all of our free resources. We have a Discord community. We have an AI agent trained in ChatGPT-4, but in direct response best practices. Yeah.
And thank you so much for coming on, and we appreciate you guys. And hit us up in the Discord. The community is free on Discord. If you actually just go to ugc.pro and you look for the join the community section right here. You can join our Discord community, and we will answer any question you have. So come join us, ask us questions, talk to us. Betty, I saw you did have a question. Maybe that's something you guys can talk about.
I'm designing an AB package for GLP-1 weight loss medication, but I've never taken these products. I want fun scripts, but worried about FTC regulations and platform. Right. So definitely for weight loss, there are certain regulations you need to keep in mind. One thing that you can do is at the bottom of your video in small white text, you can say that like something like actor reenacting customer, or like you can ask the brand what the legal regulation is, but something like that where it's like
disclaimers.
A disclaimer that's basically like you are reenacting what a customer experienced. And that is something that you do want to take seriously for weight loss, just because there is a lot of FTC regulations. So I would ask the brand how they approach this, because they definitely have legal that is in their ear all the time. So definitely have that conversation with them. And yeah, the last thing I'll leave you guys with is if you've been attending our live trainings, whether it's your first one or you've been attending every weekend, we appreciate you guys so much. If we could ask you for one favor, whenever you leave and you feel like you learned something or you just feel appreciative of this live, we would love more than nothing for you to share your experience on social media, because that's how other creators are able to hear about us and this free resource and how we can help impact others who don't yet know that this exists.
Yep. Thank you guys so much. I hope you all have a great Saturday, and we'll see you next time.
Amazing. See you guys later. Bye.